We are in the second episode of the Epirus campaign, and as I have already said, something terrible happened at the end of our first battle. What happened was that King Pyrrhus died. He was 37 years old, and he had died when he was 36 in actual history, so that is historical enough, but it is no longer possible to reshape his life. Perhaps that is appropriate. To me, it seemed as if the real historical King Pyrrhus was mostly interested in fighting battles and not so much in making real gains over his enemies. He had twice a chance of conquering Macedonia. He was even at one point offered the crown of Macedonia by the Macedonians themselves, and he did nothing. He had been offered the crown of Syracuse, but never really ruled as their ruler, and eventually abandoned them to their fate. He seemed even as if he wanted to create enemies just to fight more wars. Such was the anger of the Greeks against him after the incident with the looting of the graves of the Macedonian kings, that when he fell in battle, he was beheaded, which was a thing unheard of, and something of a transgression against the rules of war in ancient Greece. Perhaps this was a good omen. Perhaps now that King Pyrrhus had been slain, the gods and men of ancient Greece had been appeased and some of their anger had been abated. I decided to carry on without King Pyrrhus. I will not give up this campaign. Determination is everything. Well, at least it is better than giving up. Another bad thing that happened was that the game crashed at the end of the last battle, and the cutscene about the death of King Pyrrhus is missing, but trust me, he's dead. He has been succeeded by Admiral Davos, who is sailing the wide, dark seas on a mission to make diplomatic and trade contacts with faraway peoples. The fate of Epirus is now with his generals. It is now for them to see that Epirus does not fall to its enemies. And if Epirus lives through this war, perhaps the memory of the great warrior king will inspire his successors, and a new great warrior may rise, whose deeds in battle will never be forgotten. Until then, we have the more pragmatic task of defeating Athens and Sparta, which is not an easy task to say the least. These two factions fight almost as one and are very hard to beat. So our spy is spying on Athens. We can start a new tech, logistics. We need a general in Larissa just in case the Macedonians decide to go to war. No agents are possible, but we can hire a statesman whose name is Telesphorus, and that for free. With that, we can get an excellent hoplite unit as a bodyguard also for free, a great unit for defending in a siege. He hungers for battle, but for now he has to keep a watchful eye over Larissa. Next, we will put all our stronger units under a single commander. And here is Demetrius, the new general who has taken command of the army of King Pyrrhus after his death.
On the move! At your command!
We will also hire some Pyrrhus, an excellent mercenary unit, and some cavalry to chase down the routed enemy soldiers and prevent them from escaping to reinforce the garrison of Athens. We have enough money left for a second unit of Pyrrhus.
Ready for battle. Get to it, men.
Telesphorus enters Larissa.
We hunger for battle.
Eusebius takes 2 depleted units left under his command to a position from where he can reinforce an attack on Athens.
For battle.
What do you wish of me?
Ready for battle. Make... Our path is blocked. At your command. On the move. Ready for orders. At once.
At your service.
At your command.
Electra joins Eusebius to prevent attacks from enemy spies, seeing that we have no money left for her to go on a mission. Demetrius attacks the army outside Athens, called the Gryphon's Grace. The odds are against us, but this battle is a crucial step in winning the campaign and must be won. Praxiteles and Zenobius will be coming out of Athens to reinforce the Gryphon's Grace. Of course, we will fight the battle on the battlefield. We have a nice army with nearly all units in full force, including 4 units of pikes, of course, entire intact unit of elephants. We seem to have the high ground, which is to our advantage, and from up here we can spy on our enemy's movements.
Today we fight. Today we kill as many of them as we can. That is all. I have no grand strategy to speak of beyond that simple idea. Now, to victory!
Demetrius, as a new general, had no clear plan, but unknown to him, I had a plan that might serve him well. Here is our army, and General Eusebius has also made his entrance. We had cavalry with the main army, a company of citizen cavalry, and the bodyguard of General Demetrius. So what is the plan of attack? We will wait for Eusebius and then march slowly down to meet our enemies and attack them on their march if possible. I will switch shortly to a save so we can watch the battle action, but in the meantime, here is Eusebius coming up slowly, and in the distance, there is the Gryphon's Grace. And there are the armies coming out of Athens. They are running to reinforce the Gryphon's Grace, which is to our advantage, as they are getting tired by running. Here in the distance is again the smaller army, the Gryphon's Grace. Our army is marching down the hill in the direction of the Gryphon's Grace. Here again the distance, the Gryphon's Grace, and on this side in the distance the 2 Athenian armies that have sallied out of Athens.
On me! Riders on the double! Riders on me! Understood! Follow me! Double time!
Eusebius, being the more experienced general, will take command of the main army as Demetrius and the citizen cavalry veer left. The Athenian reinforcements are so spread out and scattered that they are now vulnerable to hit-and-run attacks. Indeed, Demetrius has spotted a group of mob and slingers left behind, a very inviting target for a cavalry attack. Back to the main army, and the skirmishers and Pyrrhus peers have moved forward to engage the Athenians. The trick has worked, and the Athenians are now running to unite their two armies, tiring themselves with all that running. Not only that, but they have lost their cohesion and advanced as a column, playing into our trap.
Break the lines! As you command!
On the right, our elephants are moving to a flanking position supported by our slingers, who pin down the Athenian javeliners on this side. In the meantime, our cavalry on the left charge the Athenian light units left behind. The two armies are now about to collide. Our army has a wide front, the Athenians are blindly following the companies in front of them, piling up in a small space in the center of our line. Captain Eusebius has moved to the right, has run down the enemy javeliners there so that our elephants can move up, and then charges the enemy in the rear. Here is our other general, Demetrius, has attacked some mob. He is back to the main line, so the pikemen and hoplites from either side have engaged in melee in the distance. In the background, you can see now the elephants moving up. Captain or General Eusebius has attacked some enemy units in the rear. And here on the very front, this is our left wing. We have some infantry here, they're outflanking the enemy. Some of the enemy soldiers are already routed, they're retreating. Our pikemen are engaged with what probably is very heavy Athenian hoplite unit, and our elephants charge the enemy infantry in the rear. The Athenians had concentrated several of their companies in the center as a result of their hasty attack, and they've now been attacked by the elephants, they've been trampled, but they've already been routed. We also flanked the enemy unit to the foreground by the unit that had overtaken them just a minute earlier. Here are our men, our hoplites. They are still fighting against the enemy, but the enemy infantry is now routed. Almost the entire Athenian infantry force has been routed. Using elephants in a battle between Greeks is a very serious form of cheating. In fact, Pyrrhus did not use elephants against Greeks. The tradition for Greeks was to fight as hoplites, or perhaps at least as pikemen, if not hoplites. And the Macedonians introduced some light units, and the Thebans had introduced some cavalry. Some of the northern states, like the Thessalians and Macedonians, had also some cavalry. But the standard way to fight in Greece, among the more traditional Greek city-states, was just with hoplites, nothing else. Everything else was like cheating. It was not honorable. Especially archers were considered very dishonorable during the classical period. So we are now chasing the routed enemy. As this battle is winding down, let me say something about the plan of action for the next few game turns. At the start of the campaign, the Athenians and the Spartans have between them 4 field armies and strong garrisons. If all 4 armies went into action at once, we would be lost. If the Macedonians joined them, that would make a bad situation worse. So here the elephants, by the way, are attacking the enemy general. I think this is Eusebius, and he's retreating. This was the last unit that was still in good order. The other general named Cyneas, I think, has been killed. And Eusebius and his bodyguard of hoplites are now being trampled by the elephants. So if the Macedonians joined the Athenians and Spartans, that would make a bad situation worse. So my survival plan for the early part of the campaign had 5 steps. First, it was crucial that the Athenians declared war. If we had to attack Athens first, the Macedonians would declare war on us and the situation would become hopeless. Secondly, the Athenians had to fall into ambush, so we could get rid of one of those 4 armies. Third, the remnants of the Athenian army that had fallen into ambush had to be attacked straight away in a field battle after they had retreated to outside Athens. This also depended on the good fortune of some units surviving the ambush and retreating towards Athens. Fighting an open battle would be far preferable to besieging Athens straight away. In this open battle we would be outnumbered, but we had to win a decisive victory, capture as many of the enemy as possible while suffering minimal casualties. To take as many prisoners as possible, we needed some mercenary cavalry, which is why we hired the citizen cavalry. Fourth, our spy then would have to wreck the baggage of the largest Spartan army for at least one turn to stop both Spartan armies from attacking straight away. Fifth, the Spartans should nevertheless have enough strength in a single army to attack Athens without the help of their second army. We had to constantly strive to fight battles with each of the enemy armies one at a time, without the Macedonians joining the war against us. If one of these moves failed, the Epirus campaign would end there and then. So here are the closing moments of this battle. The elephants are still chasing the bodyguard of Eusebius. Now they have been joined by some cavalry.
To forward!
Our men are celebrating.
Victory! Victory! Victory!
And these men are celebrating as well, especially the Pyrrhus peers seem very happy. They survived the battle and they will get a handsome repay for their role in winning this battle. They are mercenaries, if you remember. So, Demetrius is credited with this great victory. We lost only 360 men. We could have hardly hoped for anything better. Our elephants killed over 300 men, and the citizen cavalry another 247. The bodyguard of Demetrius killed 166. Our Pyrrhus peers also did exceptionally well, and many of their kills were heavily armored hoplites. Our other units fought defensively and scored fewer kills, but it was a great success overall. The Athenian armies were practically annihilated. Just a few survived and escaped back into Athens. So a decisive victory. We cannot let the Athenians go free and reinforce the garrison of Athens, so they are enslaved. We will give them their freedom once Athens has capitulated. Demetrius has gained in command skill, and his men hunger for battle, which is good as we will be putting Athens under siege next. Thank you for watching.